POS show yo. Yo, it's POS with Pat and Bobby. News so wild it's never sloppy. Talk the truth, don't make it snobby. Who's the POS? We getting choppy. POS show yo.
Happy hump day, everybody. How you humping? You hope you're up and humping well. Hope your hump is good to you. How's your hump, Bobby?
It's slightly curved slightly to the left.
That's the way. So that was how Bill Clinton's was, I heard.
I heard a rumor as a kid it bends the way you jerk off.
Did you hear that from the man jerking you off?
Yep. He was like, we got to straighten this shit out right now.
He's like, this shit is to the left. It's crazy. It's like, no, but I remember when the whole Bill Clinton thing happened with Monica Lewinsky. That was one of the things that kind of was like in the news. Like, remember, I wasn't young, but I was young enough where like, and it wasn't the internet. But I definitely remember people going like, his curves to the left. I'm like, well, why do we know that? Like, I guess she told people, but like, it was like, we just knew how the president's dick curved. Or maybe that's a Mandela effect of mine, where I think everyone knows it, and I only know that Sinbad was a genie and Bill Clinton had a left curving dick.
Do you think the origin of the original Mandela effect was Hitler with the Berenstain Bears?
What,
and
Hitler's
he was just like, well, I think because do you remember, the Bears one where they're like, is it E-I-N or A-I-N? Everyone remembers Berenstain, but it's Steen like the Jews. He was like, I'm so confused. Get rid of them all. Yeah, Stains or Steens.
That might have happened. Jim, bye. Thanks. I'm happy you got to hear the theme song. All right. Next time, Jim, we can just send you the theme song.
No, when you weren't here, Jim was kind of like, Jim and ZZ were kind of like Jim and the other guy, V, were kind of like my two co-hosts. They were the ones talking.
No, I was saying if he wants next time, he wouldn't have to he didn't have to jump on. I was being nice. Like, if you don't have to jump on now just to hear the theme song, I would send it to you and then you could just fucking hear it.
I thought you meant we could just give you the song so you don't have to come back. I was like, no, please do.
No,
whenever
he said he's got to go. That's what he said.
I didn't see that. I just saw the first message.
No, the second one says first time ever, but I got to go later, guys. Like, so he was literally running away.
I didn't see that second message. So
you just assumed I was mean. Thank you, sir. But I'm not. I'm in a wonderful mood because this is the weekend finally that we record this dumb shit and get it out of the fucking way. So I hope you motherfucks are coming. We're going to have fun. I performed in front of lily white pieces of shit in a black area last night. And they liked the beginnings of things I said. And then I said the word trans. And it wasn't even a trans offensive joke. It was nothing. And they are like, And I was like, you pieces of shit pretending like you're fucking all street cred because you're in black people territory. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, you know what they do around here.
It was so fucking dumb, but whatever. We're ready to go. It's going to be a good time. I hope you have your tickets. If you don't, go get them. ComicsRoadhouse.com. We are at Mohegan Sun Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Bobby and I will be there. Come on out, have some fun, see some shows, lose some money, get some whores, hookers, whatever they do there. Kill some Native American, whatever you do there. Have a good time.
Buy some blankets. Infect them with your own diseases that you've been.
No, they have. They have a place there where you can. They have a pox washing station. So if you're gonna give them to someone you love, you clean out the pox. If you don't, you just give them to Native Americans.
Free pox blankets. Best thing since sliced bread.
They're guaranteed. They're called 2 pox for sure. That's a wonderful store. It's there.
That's amazing.
They've got 2 sizes, biggie and smalls. That's what they've got.
Oh no.
Yes. That's our time. We did it. He must have eaten fresh. Oh man. Subway. That's Jared. He likes it. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's a rainy day here.
It is a rainy day here as well. Yesterday was more rainy. Yesterday I did the show with you, and then I was gonna run over and visit my daughter, and then I had to go to a show. Now that I have a car, I try to visit people and do things. And I have it with the car I got. They gave me. It's weird. It's like European dumb shit. But the keys are like one of those ones where you hit a button and a fucking like shank comes out, and that's your key. You know that shit?
Yeah.
You hit a button like, and it's got like this stupid alarm on the fucking top side. So when you turn to the side, it's this red button. So every 8 out of 10 times when I try to turn off the car, it goes, meh, meh, and then I have to fucking like grab it and hit a button every time. It's like fucking, Germans are fucking nuts. That's why they get so antsy. But like, so I'm trying to figure that out. But I have 2 sets of keys. One of them I have my house key on, and one I do not. But I don't think about it. I had them both kind of in the same spot. So I leave yesterday to go see my daughter drive through the pouring rain. She lives like 25 minutes away. I get to her house as I'm pulling it out, the key out. I'm like, don't hit the thing. And I'm making sure I don't hit the thing. I look, and the key's not hanging off it, meaning I have the other keys, and I'm locked out of my fucking house. So I message my friend Dion. Dion's the man who can help me do anything. I go, can you talk me through breaking out in my house? I didn't lock the deadbolt. Remember that, just a regular handle. So this and that, whatever. And he's like, well, I'm not going to, he goes, what time are you going to be home? I'm like, probably midnight. He's like, well, I'm not going to go into your neighborhood. It's not the best neighborhood. And break into a house at midnight by myself. He goes, I go, you know what? I'll walk in. I'll hug my daughter. I'll say, well, see you this weekend. And I'll fucking run back to you. And then we'll go, whatever. So I drive all the way back. And Dion, we had to figure out, I left one window open. I never leave this window open, but I did. It was a sliding one above my sink. So it's like real high to get to. So Dion had a spider monkey off garbage cans and jump through and get a fucking thing. But thank you, Dion, for helping me out. He'll be at the shows on Thursday. If I got to my shows last night, it was fine. I got like in a heated debate with a younger comic, and I wasn't. She works hard. She's one of the good ones in Connecticut, as opposed to work ethic and shit like that. She's not there with material yet, but I'm not gonna say her name. But like, I'm not shit on her way, but I've been disappointed in the way that Connecticut comedy's been coming around in the last couple of years. That they've decided to, instead of like work with other people that are like good, they all just surround them. I think a lot of areas are doing this. They just decided now with these don't tell shows, and if you don't know about these, a lot of these like there's cookie cutter like managed shows now all over the country. They're almost like franchised, and there are all these different things, and they're all these. There's not bad comics on it, but the problem is that what they're doing is they're trying to eliminate having headliners and people they pay money to. They get a bunch of like working comics from different areas. They get 1 or 2 younger people to run the things. They pile all these people on, but they don't grow and they don't get better because they don't work with anybody good. Like when I started, I was working with people at a higher level. They might not be good comics, but they were at a higher level than I was. So when I would go be on a show as a host or a guest spot, I was working with a middle or a headliner. Now they're not technical comedy club middle or headliners, but at that time they were people that could do 20 minutes. They've done it a couple of years. I could watch them and go, oh, that's how you edit a joke. That's how you deliver this. That's how you handle yourself here. A headliner, how you pace yourself. And then they can watch me and go, oh, they have questions too. And I'm asking questions, they're asking questions. But it was 8 people at your same level. If all 8 of you are brand new at a job and there's no one training you, then you're all not going to be good at the job. Like 1 or 2 may end up rising to the top, Macho Man style, but you're not really going to. So my argument was all that, but she thought it was like me insulting them, saying whatever, because I was bringing up a comedy club that they call it that. It's not. It's a place called the Elbow Room. We've been there before in Harvard, and the comics all run it, and she was like, it's great, they do this and that. I go, well, it's not great, because the rest of the venue doesn't respect anything. They just literally let you guys use the basement. They're like, well, yeah, it's great. I'm like, well, no. A good venue gives you a budget, and then they advertise and push things, and they want it to work. They don't care if you get 10 people or 100 people. If you get 100 people, then they get money from your booze and food. If you get 10 people, they don't care what happens. They didn't pay anything out. So they'll be excited if you bring people, and they'll let you do whatever you want, but they're not investing, and they don't care. And no one, and the people that are running it don't care because it's just a headache for them. So they let anyone do whatever they want, and they don't have a budget. They have a door, so therefore they don't hire good people, and it's just this back and forth thing. And I was trying to explain, I'm like, and I said the best bet is you do open mics there on Tuesday and Thursday, and you do comedy shows on Friday and Saturday. If I go there Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, I could see the same lineup any one of those days. And the only difference is that I have to pay for it 2 of the days. And that there's no other difference. The material's the same. Reading notes is the same. So therefore, when I go to there as a patron and I go watch, I'm now like watching this and going, this isn't that funny. So next time I hear about local comedy show, I don't go. Because I watched this thing, because I'm like, and I also, if someone says to me, I go, hey, I went to the Elber and watched the show. I paid $15. It was not that good. They're like, you paid $15? I went there. I didn't have to pay anything. They're like, oh, what day did you go? And then they're like, well, just because I go on Tuesdays now. Why would I ever pay? It's like a confusion thing. And I was trying to have this conversation. It seemed a little heated. I seemed kind of like a dick. And I was saying, at one point, I was just like, well, no one's good. And then like that was kind of a thing where they were like, all right, but like
Easy
getting
killer.
mad. Well, not even that. And then like the person tried to explain to me, they're not. No one is. There's out of the newer comics, they're all young people, but out of the newer comics, none of them have a chance of ever being good. Like there's maybe like 4. Like they're literally all doing it so they can fuck each other and fucking be besties and have like Dungeon Dragon night, and that's fine, but also get the fuck out of my way. Because I need to work on things too. Like that's what I don't like. And there are some comics who get frustrated because they can't get stage time because they're not in the group. No, and it wasn't woman-splained because I was talking to her, but there was guys watching too, and they were happy. And she said that. She said, oh, you're just gonna have a girl? I go, I don't give a fuck what your parts do. Like I help out all comics. Like there's some very funny female comics. I'm just frustrated with the way everything's working. Because it started with the place we were at last night. It's outside. It's a bar, and then outside it's like a shed, like a garage. They do comedy in there, and there wasn't a bar inside. And a younger comic said, I'm going to go into the bar and bark and get people. And I'm like, oh, don't do that. And we did go, and he got like 15 people to come, and that's great. So afterwards, the young comics were like, isn't this great? The bar must be so happy. I'm like, the bar's probably miserable.
Yeah, you took all the people.
Yeah, they're not buying drinks, and they're just sitting here. I go, it's good for us, but yeah, it's not good for business. And this younger comic, this guy just goes, oh, I never think of that. I go, well, I used to run a comedy club. And she goes, no, they like when you do that. And I go, no, I can tell you they don't. I mean, they're not going to yell at you. If you go and say, did I do well? They're just going to not care and say, yeah. But they were all drinking. And then she's like, well, they should put a bartender in here or a waitress in here. I'm like, it's like a garage. It's like, even the little service bar there, it'd be loud, it'd be crazy. You got to train them right, whatever. And then I start getting into that. And everything was just like me explaining things that were basically in my fucking book. And then these 3 people challenging me. And I'm like, you've all done it a year. Can you shut the fuck up? You know what I mean? So it's like, it started getting mad at comedy. I'm like, whatever. So it's like, I'm very happy the album is happening. So maybe I can take like a couple weeks break, write some shit, get away from these fuckheads, and then get back into it again. But
I get it completely.
We're here today.
It goes back to the old saying, though, because that's so true. And the saying is, if you're the smartest person in the room, leave the room. You're in the wrong room. Like, if you feel like you're on the same level as everybody else there and you're an equal, go to a place where you can learn. And like, I've taken a unique path to get to where I'm at in comedy, but that's one thing I've always valued is there's multiple levels to learn on. You can learn the business side of things. You can learn the professional side. You know what I mean? You can learn how to do comedy, like you were explaining, with the timings, the setups, how to handle situations, all of that. You just have to absorb it like a sponge and go to people who've been successful. If you're going to a club and you're going, I could probably draw as many people here as are here now, and I'm not in the role where it's my job to draw people, then you know what I mean? Like, you're not learning anything. You're not learning any of the business or anything like that.
Terry Knees winning.
What
you said if you're the smartest guy in the room. It took me a second, and I'm like, it's very fucking funny. Hilarious. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you should just leave. And Terry's like, okay, bye. I think the best lesson I ever learned by working around with comics that were quote unquote better than me when I first started was one they didn't mean to teach me. I watched them be frustrated with their acts. And I needed to see that. Because in my head, they're guys who were like closing out these shows and being the big star of the room. And the guys have been doing it a couple years and the guys knew what they're doing. And I'm like, and I'm hearing them get laughs, but they would walk off and be like, fuck, I should have done this. I should have done. I'm like, oh yeah, you're not done. Absolutely. And that's the problem. But these young comics now aren't seeing that. They get a laugh. Like, I watch too many young comics go up and literally say out loud, and it's not their fault. There's no one they're not putting themselves around other people. They're not making it open for other people to be there. But they walk out into the stage and they'll be on the mic and they'll start telling a joke and go, oh, I won't tell this joke because you heard it Thursday, whatever. And it's like, well, it's not about them. You got to work on your joke. And they're trying to entertain new people, and they're trying to do new shit all the time because they feel like everyone's heard their shit, because all they know comedy is these 5 open mics.
Yeah, it's a microcosm. It's the same people, like, either and I try to tell them role.
Last night I tried to explain to this person that the laughs you're getting are unhealthy at a mic because you're getting to the back of the room, or you're making people that won't go to shows laugh. A guy who's there for the wing special, or the guy who was surprised by comedy, is not going to go to a comedy show. Even if he's chuckling with laughter, that's not your goal. Your goal is to work on you. No show matters. And when I say it to people, they all go, "That's fucked up, dude." Like,
No,
I don't care
you
what you think is fucked
misunderstand
up.
what you're saying. Yeah, it's
No,
and that's why.
is it? Oh, go ahead.
No. That's why comedy's great. They misunderstand what you're saying, and that's what makes comedy so fun for me. Is it's a test against yourself. You're trying to make yourself as good at delivering these things under these, you know what I mean? Like it's how do I adapt? It's different every time, but it's the same, and you're refining that experience through tests. Like it's,
I appreciate what you're saying about them misunderstanding what I'm saying, but I think you're giving them credit. I think they're retarded.
I don't think they can understand what that you're saying.
I have gone on the record before and been one of the few people, and you know this, about a year ago when all the Matt Rife hate started, that I said, hey, there's funny behind that. He's a funny guy. I mean, obviously, he built up to a certain point. Yeah, he got weird attention. He didn't know what to do with it. He got weird. But I think he ruined comedy. Because I think a lot of people looked at it like, all I have to do is pose and be wild. Like, I have people explaining to me all the time, like when they're hosting an open mic and they just start shitting on someone as they walk off working on their jokes. Like, how about that fucking joke? And I'm like, why are you doing that? There's 30 people here. You're wasting time. They're like, I'm working on my instincts in my crowd. Like you don't work on instinct. Like, that's retarded. It's instinct. You can't practice instinct.
No.
Like, no. I'm, and I'm not being a dick. You've seen me. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm fucking very good at crowd work. Absolutely. It's one of my strengths. All right? It's like, I'm very good at crowd work. I've never practiced it. One time. Because I trust my gut. I've talked to you about this. Other people, I go, the best crowd work is I know that I'm funny on the fly. So if I'm telling my joke, I write my jokes open-ended so I know how to get back in and out of them. So if I see something, I say something. And I make sure it's premise and punch quickly and I get back out. It's the icing to the cake, which is my act, and I go off. If I tried to work on it, it would become robotic, it would become stupid. I'd be forcing it. And when you watch people force crowd work, it's the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely. And there's, like you nailed it, but the lesson that people could learn from you is how to do that, right? How to get in, how to get out, how to punch in and out. And Kevin's right. The point is to try to be funny and bring up a room, but you want to be as funny as you possibly can. You want to learn how to get as good as you can at being funny. Like it is a natural instinct to some extent, but it's like any natural talent. You got to figure out how to hone it in the best way possible. I'm fortunate enough. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, real quick. Kevin, no. I'm sorry, but I want Kevin to clarify what he means by that.
Oh, earlier I said something, and I think he was responding because when I was like, "Comedy's a test against yourself to try to hone this experience." But
no, I do. Even what room does he talk of? Because we're talking more about open mic and practice right now. Your job at open mic is not to bring the room up and try to be funny. Your job at open mic is to practice working on all the things you can't work on. Like, I don't know if everyone's a sports fan, but it's the best analogy for me is batting practice in baseball. You can actually go watch that if you want to. Yes, there are fielders working on certain things, but they're not doing gameplay. They're working on shagging certain things or working on a new way to fucking pull a double play together. The hitters are working on different ways to move the ball to different sides of the park. But if they hit 12 home runs, none of them count. If they strike out 5 times, it does not count. So you're working on things so when game day happens, you're good. When I go to an open mic, I'm not trying to get laughs. I know the shit I've got is these, even my new ideas, it's going to be about me working that out later on. I'm trying to figure out where it's going to go in the act, my inflections, my tone, my movements, my pacing, how I'm going to deliver it. If I've got too much clutter words, is it resonating and connecting in my mind when I say it out loud? Not to them, because their eyes are vacant. So it's
does it feel natural on a stage with the reverb, does it come out of you naturally? Does it feel like you wrote it? You know what I mean? Like all those things that you
do I feel good when I said it? Yeah, it's like, and I made an example, and a lot of them got this example, and I was pretty proud of this one. I end up having to do a lot of analogies that are sexual, but it works. And I said, they were talking about performing at one place. They also have open mics, this and that. I go, the problem is you guys are jerking off where you fuck. And you got to go to a different place. Like, it's like, so you're confusing your things. Like, if you're doing this weird practice thing, whatever, it's not working as well when you're going somewhere. So the room is confused. You're confused. You don't know what to do there. You don't respect the room. As much as people hate bringer shows, at least a bringer show allows a young comic to see a stage they're not supposed to see for the most part. It's usually at clubs and things of that nature. And they're getting to see an audience. It's not a true audience because they're forced to be there, but there's someone laughing and they paid to be there, and they're gonna try to have the best time they can because they're miserable. They paid all the money they paid, and they're pissed. They drove as far as New York or what casino or wherever they went.
Yeah.
So they're gonna kind of laugh, but it gives you something to write towards. Young comics need to get themselves on a showcase or need to get themselves a guest spot in the show. And how do you do that? Go support other shit. I'm telling you, it works. You don't have to be an asshole about it. You're not always gonna get shit, but support things that you don't know your friends at. Go be around other stuff. You know what I mean? If you're a young comic watching this, you want to guest spot on one of my fucking things, I'll give you one. I don't give a fuck. And the crowds aren't always going to be great, but at least you can fucking see somebody in an audience and go, oh, that's what I'm now working towards an open mic. Because right now, when you go to open mic, you've never done a show, you don't know what you're writing towards.
No, and that's what I'm fortunate. I get to work with you. It's rarer than the other two, but we do get to work together, and you're one of those people who does comedy the right way. The other two are Aaron and Earl David Reed, and the first thing Earl pulled me aside and was like, "Don't write jokes for the comedians. Like what people the
don't work to the back of the room. It's the first thing I learned. Yeah,
exactly. And you're very good at that, and Aaron's very good at that. Aaron, those three I named, I would challenge a lot of people to follow. Like you're all universal. You're all unique. None of them are the same. Aaron's very dirty. Earl's very clean. You're you. You're a nice blend of the both. But you get what I'm saying. Like those are people who write jokes to make people laugh regardless of who they are. And what young comics fall into is there's a funny comic in the most small scenes. And I'm considering Connecticut a small scene. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know there's a lot of people, but
very small scene.
Yeah. Same with Harrisburg. There are
because
one or two
it's
guys.
so small that we actually share Western Massachusetts in Connecticut. Would you call it that? Boston doesn't claim that. Like Western Mass is part of Connecticut. That's how small we are. We don't even really do Fairfield County. Fairfield County, like, that stuff kind of goes into New York. So we're like even smaller than our state is.
1,000,000%. And to be clear, you are above this tier. Like there's a guy who's at the top of the tier of people who are getting maybe a feature spot at a local club, but usually they're headlining a small showcase they put together. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And so people are trying to impress them. Those guys have a different sense of humor than the average person. That's why bringers are so great, because it's not just your family who gets your references and comedians who are so exposed to funny that normal things don't make them. You get a new angle, and like you need that goal. You also need to work. It can't just be like, oh, I'm a comedian because I go to this open mic every Thursday. Like the goal should be to start there, then you get hosting spots, or start there, guest spots, hosting, depending on the order of operation where you're at. And like you should always be working towards a new tier. Right now, I mainly feature, but if I was willing to take like these showcase type things, I could headline and call myself that, but that's not what I want. Like, that's not what my definition from learning from guys like you and Aaron and Earl is a headliner. Like, a headliner is somebody nobody wants to follow. Yeah.
Your goal right now at your level is that. But my problem is that these people think their goal is to just try to be this bigger thing when they don't even have 5 minutes. Now, you can't argue with them because they'll say, I do 5 minutes. I do. I'm like, yeah, but it's not good. And what do you mean it's not good? Everybody that I know thinks it's good. I'm like, yeah, because you're all just around each other. I even made an example. She was like, we talked about this one comic who's terrible. And she goes, yeah, but I go, but I've seen you laugh at him. She goes, I do. I go, yeah, you laugh now after 10 times of hearing how bad it was. You're not going to laugh because it's so awful, because you're a comic and you're jaded. And like, we laugh at the unfunny. We laugh at the weird. We laugh at the things that the comic guy is never a good comic. There's a couple they call that and they shouldn't. Like, there's famous guys they call comics and they should not. Like Harlan Williams was called that for a while, and he's a brilliant comic. I get what they're saying. He's a comic is someone who's doing something that the comic looks at and goes, I would never fucking do that. That's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're
I can't believe
it's a wild and different. But like the goal for them at the beginning should just, it's all about improving you every day. And we'll get off the comedy thing. I know everybody hates that shit, but like it was fun to be. The reason why I go around it is because I don't believe and I don't mean this as like I'm putting myself down. I'm not better than any of them. I have the same addiction they all have, and I share it, and I get passionate about it. So a lot of young comics like that I help them. When I jump, I just run over and say something. But a lot of them are like, who the fuck are you? And say this and that, whatever. I'm doing this. Because they get butthurt. And that's fine. I just want to help you again, whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's the same people that complain, I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to do about that. And it's like, someone tried to help you. But if you can't take constructive criticism, you'll never be good. Like, I recorded a different hour in the last 5 years. This is my 4th hour. I write a lot. But it's not like I'm just constantly getting, when other ones like, oh, you're getting rid of hours, I'm like, yeah, but I'm working this hour constantly for a year, and I'm creating all the time and then doing it. And I know comics that have been doing the same 30 minutes for 10 years. And it's like, how is that even fun? But there's a balance in between. But whatever. Let's get the fucking fun shit where we shit on news and fuck with people and Chinese and everything. How about that?
I like that. Can I just make one last comedy comment?
You can make as many as you like.
So Paul Mercurio is a comedian, and he did comics for Kamala. I used to love him until I heard this. Do you know what Paul Mercurio in my book was most famous for? Telling Kathleen Turner when she was acting on Broadway, when she got naked in The Graduate to go. He stood up in the middle of her show and she showed her tits and went, "Kathleen, put your goddamn clothes back on." And it's just funny that now this guy is just a feminist and a woman. Love Paul Mercurio, but stop being political. Just be funny.
He had a big loss in his family recently, and it was female based, and I kind of get that. I know people that know him well.
I didn't
so
know that.
I'll give him. He's a wonderful dude who does so much for charity. I'm not saying you would have to know or not know it. I give him a pass if his heart's going to weird things now. But that guy is one of the greatest live acts I've ever fucking seen. Like live, just in person. I mean, if you listen to the recordings and stuff, it doesn't always translate when you have to listen to it later. But if you're in person and you get to see Mercurio, it's fucking wild, man. I watched him at the old comics. They had these great crazy tables set up, like they were loose, and he just ran across them and goes, "I'm Jesus," and everybody had food and shit on it, and he was doing the comedy and running across the tables. I'm like, he's gonna fall. Like these tables, I'm the one who helped put the tables together. They're gonna fall apart. But it was crazy. Like I've seen him do like an hour and a half on New Year's Eve, people not listening, and turn that crowd around. The guy's a fucking genius. But yeah, you know who's also a genius?
Who is that?
The woman in this story. This will be a great story because it combines two things we like, Bobby. Asian people and fat people.
Ooh, mukbang, if you will.
No, better. A separation of the muck from the bang.
Oh, no.
Too fat husband granted divorce after wife demands a fee for incompetent sex. This might be the greatest headline I've ever read out loud.
I love that.
And I like that it was the woman doing it to the guy. It's a lot of times you hear about the guy going, "Oh, she got fat. I don't want to fuck her anymore." The woman's like, "Gross. I need money."
I mean, I kind of respect it. They say
I fucking love it.
You're paying for it one way or another.
She redefined a transactional relationship. Ba-doop. A man in Taiwan filed for divorce from his wife after she demanded he pay for sex on account of him being overweight and bad in bed.
Oh, God. She's like, you could be one of the two. You could be overweight. You could be bad, and you better not be fucking
You can't be both. The unlikely incel, surnamed Hao, had married his wife Zun in 2014 and had 2 children, according to the South China Morning Post. I'm sure it's a great paper. However, problems began 3 years later. Yeah, a lot of the editorials are tremendous.
Yeah.
Everyone is great. Thank you.
Government passed great law to benefit society today. Thank you.
Thank you for food, great and powerful leader. Hot take. I love everyone.
Big dong, I always say.
So, however, problems began 3 years later after his soulmate restricted sex to once a month. 2 years later, in 2019, Zwan refused to have sex with him at all and reportedly told his relatives that he was too fat and incompetent. Frustrated over the forced abstinence, her pent-up paramour filed for divorce in 2021, but walked back the lawsuit after she promised to work on their relationship. Howe even registered their home in her name. But Zun reverted to her old sex-blocking ways shortly after, reportedly charging him $15 whenever he wanted to make love or even talk.
I mean, that's not bad.
This lady fucking rules.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
She's like a hooker would be at least 50. I'm only asking for 15. That's a good deal.
What's the talk? He's like, so what do you want to do? Oh.
You know what? Let's let it play out, but I'll explain why I don't think she's the piece of shit.
Oh, she's not even getting nominated. The sex tax, I like to call it that, proved to be the tipping point. Howe wound up filing for divorce for a second time this year, which the judge granted on the grounds that their marriage was cold and difficult to fix. Before the second suit, the man had not spoken to his wife for 2 years, only communicating via messaging apps, presumably free of charge. That's fun for the author. Yeah, I think this is Ben Cost. Let me look. That's a Ben Cost joke? Yeah, it's Ben Cost. Well, we got to reach out to Ben Cost. I love Ben Cost. I really do. But Ben Cost, fine. This is news. I know I say things aren't news. This is news.
This is news.
This is great. This is
amazing.
This is empowering women. This is understanding men. This is dealing with, body shaming. This is everything that the world wants right now, and it's Chinese.
And it's reminding the world how anti-capitalist China is.
Yeah. But his spouse didn't want to dissolve their union and appeal to a higher court, but was ultimately rejected. I can't read. Interestingly, that's his name. This isn't the first time someone had imposed a pay-for-play policy on their partner. I hate when Ben does this a lot. He goes back to another story. In 2014, a wife in Taiwan charged her truck driver husband $2,000 US 60. So I guess the money's not great. For hanky-panky, as well as meals and chats, on the basis that he didn't contribute enough money to the family. That makes sense.
That's not
according to New York City divorce lawyer James Sexton. Two of the main reasons couples get divorced are money problems and issues in the boudoir. Sexton claimed that a sex drought typically results in infidelity, observing that men want more quantity sex, women want more quality, as he revealed in a recent podcast. If it's the same reason porn is more popular than men than is with women, because men just want to get the job done, he said. Wait, who said that? Some New York City divorce lawyer? Okay. Who's the piece of shit in the story? Is it the guy for being, easy it would be to lose weight, especially in Taiwan? There's not too many big fat fucks there. No. I get it. You're like, Matt, I want to have sex. She's like, lose weight. You're hurting me. You're gross, whatever. I'll fuck you if you lose weight. You don't even have to be good at it. But if you do lose weight, you'll get better at your endurance will be better. You might be better at better moves, but you might be better. Why can't you just lose some weight?
Yeah, she even tried to trick him.
Great. I'll nominate her because I think we just have to. Is it her for charging? Listen, she's not happy. And she probably, I don't know Taiwan people, but if that happened in America, I'll guarantee you the woman was saying that almost to try to put a joke into a real thing. She didn't know. It'd be like, hey, if you're going to gain any more weight, I might have to start charging you. And she's like, what? It's like, we got like a way station here. It's starting to hurt a little bit, and like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like when we first met and you were thinner, man, the sex was great. I mean, it was so fun. I want to enjoy it with you again. And I'm worried about you. And if you're not going to care about yourself, maybe throwing money in a jar will make you do it. I don't know. Something like that.
I kind of like that.
So maybe she's trying to inspire. Maybe is that being a dickhead move? Is this lawyer James Sexton for what he said at the end there? He's like, usually it's men want one, and I hate when people blanket statement stuff. I like quality sex. Yeah, I do like having a lot with someone I like having it with. And there are men who like I think it's just more accepted. But I know a lot of women that when they're single, and I'm not shaming. There's a lot of women have a better chance of having sex every night than men do if they're both single. Because men are horny and will sleep with anyone. And women will be picky sometimes. But if women aren't picky and they're like, hey, listen, I'm alone, I'm single right now. I've known people like that. There's like, I don't want to date anybody, but if some guy at the bar is being cool and I can go home and hook up with them and then I'll talk to them again, then fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. So there's many women who also feel that way. It's just not accepted or talked about as much. It's a little more now than before. But I think sex is kind of a dick for saying that. And the porn thing too. I know so many women who wish they could enjoy porn, but porn's not made for them. It's not. And the ones they try to make for them is like so fucking over the top, produced and weird and creepy that it's not for them anyway. It's just not. It's made for men because men are watching it more, but it's not made for the way a woman's mind works. And they could figure it out easily. They just don't care because they know men are just like all over the place, and men are going to be creepy with their shit anyway. So, is it? Well, there was someone else in this thing. Oh, is it Ben Cost? Because this should be an article where there's he should give an example of himself. His name is Cost. He should be like, hey, listen, I cost $50. This only costs $15. He should have a fun pun. He's good at things. Who's the piece of shit in this sexual story?
So it's not the wife. My homegirl just
she's a hero.
discovered capitalism in the heart of communism. It's the oldest profession for a reason. Look, what's the most popular website right now? OnlyFans and all these websites where women can sell their bodies for money and conversations for money. Right? And she went, I'm just gonna do this in my relationship. If he doesn't want to better himself, cool. He can be like one of those fat fucks who subscribes to people's OnlyFans and he can hit me up that way. It's not him. Right? He looked at the situation and went, nah, not worth it. I'm not going to better myself for you. And you know what? I know a lot of guys who will do whatever a woman asks. You might even throw me on that list. Change everything about yourself for a woman just to try to win her over. This guy drew his line in the Chinese checkers sandbox or whatever they call it and went, nope, I'm not losing the weight for you. And also did not pay her to converse. So I respect him for that more, where he was like not a simp about it either. He's just like, nah, I just don't need this.
Yeah, but he texted, which is fucking. I wouldn't. You hold out from everything.
What true, but I also respect the fact that he found a free loophole. Like that is something I would try to do too. It's the Zen garden. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Kevin. Is it? It's not Ben Cost. This is the type of news that needs to be brought to us, especially in these trying times when we're on the verge of World War III. Let's remind how stupid the Chinese people are. For me, it's the judge and that lawyer from New York who sounds like a real communist to me. They also hate capitalism. Like they're putting it down. They're going, no, no, no. It shouldn't be a thing of an exchange. It should be fuck you. And you're right, Pat. A lot of women do like to hook up when they're single. You know, a lot of women who aren't single like to do also hook up with people who aren't their boyfriend. And they tend to know people like me. So for me, the piece of shit is anybody who says, hey, this relationship was working. Now it's not. No, it's still working. They both need to change things. But as of right now, it's equal. That's what a relationship is. Give and take. They're both giving and taking. He's taking on the weight and giving up his money. She's taking his money and giving up her pussy. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree it's the judge, but not for the reason you said.
Okay.
Just like in a lot of other, like, okay, so there was a case about, it was a couple months ago, with that kid that did the school shooting in like Michigan, and the parents. Remember when the parents got? We talked about it on here.
Tried because
the parents got tried and put in jail because they were responsible and this, that, whatever, and it set a precedent. Now every time a minor does something, you can go after the parents and arrest them as well. Because it's been done. This judge has now set a precedent. This woman, I believe, is right. She tried for a couple of years, and she even said, I want to save the marriage. I'm just trying to, this guy, instead of fucking losing weight and caring about me, wants to run away. Like, be a man, is what she's basically saying. And the judge is like, nope, I will grant him a divorce because you are not allowing him to have sex. I mean, this can't be fixed. But it could be fixed with counseling or, I don't know, Weight Watchers. But this judge instead was just like, nope, I don't care. And now it's going to be a lot of men and women at that point going in and saying, I'm not happy in the bedroom. I wanted a divorce. It can't be fixed. He won't fuck me good, whatever. That's it. And it's like, now all these divorces are going to be great. We're already having issues in America. There's so many divorces. I don't know about Taiwan, but like so many where people don't want to work on shit. They just want to run away all the time. Believe me, I'm a big fan of running away. But like when it comes to this thing, it's now a precedent of now you could just go to court and that's a file for divorce. When people got filed for divorce years ago, you had to prove a lot of shit before you get a divorce. They would try to make you work on a lot of things. Now it's just like when anytime you want to leave, you can leave. And it's ridiculous. So this judge should have kind of stood firm and made a stand, but instead he was just like, no, it can't be fixed. Sorry. It's fat. Fat can be fixed. It's again just saying that fat is acceptable. It's not. It's ruined this man's life. It ruined her life. Fat sucks. Stop being fat. You're gross. We're supposed to see your neck. You're not supposed to have udders. You shouldn't sweat in spots. Deodorant should only go in certain areas, not all over the place. Cut it out.
I normally agree with you about fat, but I would say in this instance, it seems to have saved him from a bit of a pain in the butt.
She doesn't seem like a pain in the butt. Y'all, she wants to fuck him. She wants to be his wife.
She wants to be. That's a good point. I didn't think about that aspect. You've turned me again, Oates.
It's like
you know what I always say when a woman wants to leave? I always say, if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there. Just remember there's a lot of bad and beware.
And I can see why they leave. They're like, can you just sing the song? Why do you say it to us?
Ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world.
But yeah, she wanted the marriage to last. She didn't want to leave. He wanted to leave because he wasn't getting what he wanted. And he wanted to stay fat and just make his wife miserable. I mean, that stinks.
That's kind of funny. We don't know any Americans like that whose wives are probably begging them to lose weight, but they refuse to.
And Kevin, you were right in one of the things you said. You're not wrong for refusing. I do it all the time, and I've been yelled at. I've had heavy set women message me and be like, "I saw you at a comedy show. Can we hang out?" I'm like, "No, thanks." And they're like, "Why not?" Like, I'm just, you don't seem attractive. And they're like, like someone curvy. I'm like, "You're using that word wrong." Like, that's
define that word, bitch.
Curvy's big tits and a nice ass. It's not just a round circle. You're a curve, but you're not curvy. You just curve.
We once had a friend called Sloppy Mary.
How is she your friend?
She wasn't.
The second you call me Sloppy Mary, I'm done being your friend.
She was called Curvy Mary, and we called her Sloppy Mary because we felt it was a more accurate representation of her body.
There was a girl in college we called Chunks because my buddy, he hooked up with her because he fingered her and he felt something weird. He goes, "I think it was Chunks." And we're like, so we kept calling her that. And she's like, "Why are you calling me Chunks?" And then he said we should change it to scrambled eggs. I go, "I think that's even worse."
No, please don't call her scrambled eggs. I think I've told this story maybe to you. I don't know if I've told it on here, but I was a Thon chair and we were paired up with the Society of Women in Engineering. I did not like the tryhard that was in charge of their Thon committee. And we had a wine party with them where we all got drunk on wine, and 3 bottles deep, I gave their chair the name Shovel Face. And you might say, why Shovel Face? Because it looked like she'd been hit in the face with a shovel. It was a joke I told everybody at the party at least 7 times that night.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that, Terry, that the key is to be apart too. I think you also have a good relationship and you hang out together. You're naming all the being aparts. But that works because your together time is good enough where you can trust and enjoy your apart time. I think a lot of people want a part time, but also just are like, I'm tired of being with my wife and my kid. You've got to have that healthiness. You're someone who probably has that healthiness. When you're together, it actually makes it better because you miss each other and you do other things and you enjoy life. And you don't become just best friends. I don't know anybody else. Everything is this, and then it becomes overwhelming. And you're like, I have no other outlets. So that makes sense in that way. But a lot of people don't do it the right way.
I once knew a guy in college who was the same way with his girlfriend. He was like, we need some time apart. Let's not text. That way I can come home and hear about your day. 3 years later, we found out he was a closeted gay and didn't really like her. But Terry, I'm sure your situation's different.
Yeah, Terry's not in the closet.
No. Not in Central PA. They don't allow that. Pat, for my story, I'm going to give you 3 choices. We've got our polished hair. You want to save that for the middle again?
Yeah, I like that as the second story.
Okay, then would you rather hear about Kanye or Las Vegas?
Las Vegas. Let's have fun. Kanye kind of makes me bummed out sometimes. Let's do him later. We did a big fat fun story. Let's do some Vegas.
Perfect. In a surprise twist, the FBI arrested Idris Kiba, a Moroccan national living in Las Vegas, for allegedly extorting Instagram users. His arrest followed a bold admission on the No Jumper podcast, where he boasted about his illegal activities. Kiba, also known as Danny or Unlocked, faces federal charges for 2 criminal felony counts related to extortion schemes targeting social media users. Are you familiar with any of the players in this story so far?
The Danny guy sounds familiar. I think my kids have watched him. I know No Jumper.
Okay, so No Jumper.
I don't know it well, but I know what No Jumper is.
Yeah, it's a podcast for our audience run by a guy named Adam23. He's best known because he let his wife make Instagram films with other male porn stars, and people gave him a hard time about that. He likes to have different members of gangs on, so they fight each other. Rappers. He got famous for his interview with 6ix9ine originally, so that's who he is. He had this guy Danny on who would extort people on Instagram. Hope that's enough for everyone, and we're on the same page. So Danny Kiba Unlocked ran a website, Unlocked for Life, promising to unlock social media accounts for clients. However, he admitted to locking the accounts himself to extort money from users who wanted their access restored. During his podcast appearance, he claimed to have over 200 people paying him monthly for account access, generating more than $600,000. The FBI investigation revealed that Kiba didn't stop at social media. He had allegedly destroyed victims' property and threatened to harm or kill them and their families. In one case, he threatened to expose a victim's social security number if they didn't pay $20,000.
They love doxing. They love doxing.
Yeah. Kiba's brazen behavior, threats of violence ultimately led to his arrest. Who is the piece of shit in this story? Is it Danny Kiba for extorting people on Instagram? Like, it's not a good look, but he was on a podcast. I don't know about you. Sometimes I make things up on this podcast. Sometimes I make stories up on this podcast. This is not one of those, but everybody's knowing you're a persona on air and you're a human being off air. We talked about this yesterday. It's possible that Hova told you to sell drugs and kill people. Jay-Z never told you to do that. Is it the FBI? You open an investigation in this guy and you find out he's threatening to murder people, he's extorting people for lots of money, and you wait until he does it on the podcast. Maybe it's time we all just admit that Adam 23 is an informant and a rat. Who knows? Is it this Danny? I guess is it the author? Open with the destruction of property, not the hacking of Instagram accounts. That's the real crime here, where he's threatening to dox people and shit. Like, who's your piece of shit, Pat? I've talked enough on this one.
It's the author. It's not the author because destruction of property right is the biggest crime, but it's not the most enticing.
Fair enough. Very fair.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to clickbait me in. Kevin, real quick to answer the statement you just made. I know some women that would disagree with this. Anyway, I don't know anything about for myself, but I've watched enough other relationships.
I know how to
like comedy. I'm very good at like giving advice to other people, but I'm terrible at doing it for myself. But it's not the author at all. It's not Adam 23. Informant, non-informant. It's not the FBI. I think the FBI handled it the way you're supposed to. I'm happy they kind of didn't jump in yet when it comes to podcasts and sensationalism and all that kind of thing. There's so many people that say so many wild things and do things that you kind of have to sit back and really go through what is real, what isn't. So many people make shit up. I mean, they've really, with that whole, what's it called, swatting that happened with the games where like somebody will call and say this is bad, it's happening, and they're going to homes. They have to really like play the who's crying wolf here shit. So I kind of get them going, let's just watch they got him right away because they're watching, they're careful eye on this guy, obviously. And then when he did it, they got him, but they had to see if he was actually doing it. So the piece of shit to me is obviously Danny. These guys who get these big followings are usually people who never really had a lot of friends, or even if they did, it was very small circles and they never had any time in life. Like you and I have been on enough stages, even if it's not huge audiences and stuff like that, where we understand, even though it's going to sound like egotistical, but it's true. When you stand on a stage or you're in front of a big group of people and you're talking, there's a power that you could feel, and if they're agreeing with you, and that's why a lot of comics and actors and TED talkers and anyone who gets to speak, politicians, get this weird, some of them go this weird God route, or like this, like I'm a guru. People like that, those are the ones who start being cult leaders. They start to feel this power of like, I can do whatever I want. I'm untouchable because look, you're all watching me. I can do whatever I want. So I think sometimes they go so crazy to continue to get more likes and wants and think they can say whatever, that 90% of these people aren't really trying to, extort or do anything of the things this guy was threatening to do. They just think like, I can just say that because I'm Danny from the YouTube or whatever. And they're dorks in real life and they don't understand consequences. They've never gone up to a real person and said, I'm going to fucking tell everyone your social security number, where they could just go, oh, really? And then they can't do it anymore. So it's like, now they're like, oh, they can't get in trouble. Oh, there's a thing called the FBI, and I'm talking way too out loud, and I'm really saying this stuff and doing this stuff. So it's Danny, but not for like the actions he did. It's for being too stupid to understand the actions that he did.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, and I don't think for once it's Adam 23. Like, he actually got a bad person taken down. Like, normally he's highlighting terrible people and doing nothing about it. In this instance, it led to actual results. So in this case,
he's getting cucked a lot, so like it's fine.
Yeah. So it's not him. Normally love to blame the FBI, but this is something, again, I think everybody can get behind. This guy's attacking innocent people. Like, this has nothing to do with politics. It's not one side or the other. It's just a crime being committed. You're stopping him. So God love him. For me, it's also Danny, but not for the reasons you said of not realizing what he's doing. It's Danny for not doing the crimes. Like that role is going to be filled in society. Somebody's going to do that stuff. That person's a piece of shit regardless. The thing
And
is,
they're Indian. They're not Moroccan.
You don't brag. You just keep your fucking mouth shut. Look at any of the major crimes committed that nobody knows who it did. Nobody's out there talking about it. There's no whispers. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. It sounds like a corny saying, but boy, was Lil Wayne spot on. It doesn't just apply to crime. In any aspect of life, if you got something big going on, wait until it's ready. Wait until it's done. Then you put it out there and then you talk about it. Like, you're still committing these crimes. If this was 10 years from now, past the statute of limitations, and he wants to do a tell-all book about, look at all these crimes I committed, you're profiting twice. Like, people will buy that. It may not be the same level now where you're at your height of fame, but you also won't go to prison.
I used to agree with that Lil Wayne. First of all, I do like your takes, and I think that's good. I'm not saying anything's to take.
No.
But the Lil Wayne statement, I used to think was good, but I remember thinking about it like a couple weeks. I was like a couple months ago. I heard it again, and a comic mentioned it, made a joke in a thing, and I was like, "Yeah," but most of the people that ran in his circles when he thought about that stuff, and people like hood guys who think that, are too poor to pay their internet bill or have a phone. So I think like they just don't have the ability to tell real people. I think everyone in the hood knows their shit, and I think they don't stop bragging in the hood, but they don't have a YouTube channel or a following because they're too busy being criminals. To let people know. So yes, their silence does help them, but I don't think it's because they want to be. I think they're braggadocious folks, and they're the ones who run around saying, "Yeah, I killed that motherfucker. I fucked that guy up." But there's no one writing it down or putting it on the internet of fear of being killed.
And then we hit the SoundCloud era where all those people were able to put out their own mixtapes, and the DA was just like, "Oh, thank you for confessing." I do see the chain of events here.
Same thing with open mics where people go up there and say, "I'm a pedophile" 12 times. There was no punchline. You're confessing. Like, you're
don't do
jail.
That.
You're a pedophile.
Don't do that.
Don't be a pedophile. Like, ever.
Hey, open micer, I heard you like I'm young. You better never go to cell block 1.
I don't know the song, but it was fun.
They not like us. They not like us.
Okay, like I've never heard it sung by a white man.
No, you really haven't. It was not like Kendrick at all.
I listen to that song all the time, and that's the song where I get worried. I'm like, I'm not like them. I'm not supposed to listen to this, but I enjoy the fuck out of that song.
I just like that Team USA's adopted it whenever they play Canada as their warm-up tape, and they've just made it a US versus Canada thing, so we are allowed to rock with it.
It's US versus Drake. It's what it is. What? Wait a minute, Kevin. YouTube channel owners use goons. Yeah, they should. No one's using goons. God damn it.
Goon Squad?
Speaking of evil, ISIS. You know them?
I do. Not the group from Archer. We're going to talk about them in a minute. Okay. Just wanted to be clear because I thought we might be talking about the same story.
The group from Archer?
Yeah, that was what their company was called. The spy agency in the show Archer was ISIS.
No, but I'm trying to think why it'd be a news story about Archer. Okay. I'll wait to hear.
Sorry. I didn't mean
to. No, you didn't at all. I was just like, how was a cartoon in the news? But it's a nice tease. Here you go. ISIS fucked with somebody more famous than Archer, if you will.
Oh boy.
Probably the most famous woman in all the land.
Susan B. Anthony?
Alive.
Hillary Clinton?
Who's the most famous woman in all the land? Who sells out stadiums upon stadiums?
Oh, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. I apologize.
ISIS plot against Taylor Swift concert in Vienna narrowly foiled. ISIS was trying to take out a Taylor Swift concert.
She's trying to signal, I think there is trouble walking in.
Hey, can you guys shake it off? Shake it off over there, please. An ISIS-linked plot to attack a Taylor Swift concert in Austria has been narrowly foiled by police, according to reports. 2 suspects, a 19-year-old living in his parents' home near Vienna. I like how they take a shot at him. They're like, he lives at home, bitch. Along with another man, were arrested. Yeah, where he lives. Were arrested Wednesday after police raided the home and found various chemicals and substances, according to the Austrian outlet Kronen Zutag. The pair were allegedly targeting Swift's concerts at Vienna's Ernst Happel Stadium, which she is scheduled to play Thursday through Saturday night to sold-out crowds. So, this is it didn't even happen yet, but they had the plans. They caught the plans. It's supposed to be the same weekend while I'm recording my special. that Taylor Swift is doing in Austria, and they were gonna fucking kill people.
He is ticking like a time bomb. I'm hoping security gets here before long.
I do like that it's a 19-year-old who lives with his parents and a man. Like that's an expression. It's just a man and a boy. Like that, look into that too. The suspected perpetrator was focused on the Taylor Swift concerts. Their actions were detected, said Austrian Director General Public Safety Franz Ruff. Franz Ruff's a good name.
Yeah, he brought him up.
Yeah, Franz Ruff. Franz Ruff. A concrete threat has been averted, he said, adding that the authorities had not yet declared the concert entirely safe and were still investigating other accomplices, according to Gronen Zutag. The 19-year-old suspect is an Austrian national, is believed to have pledged allegiance to the Islamic terror group in July. So he's fresh. He got in July. In August, he's doing big-time shit. Like, that's balls. You got right in and you're going. You have done that small time shit. You're going to Taylor Swift concert. Like, you're in a month.
They stopped the Wemby of ISIS?
Yeah.
The future of ISIS? They shut him down already?
I mean, Wemby still has a time to go. I'm going more of the KG of ISIS, but still.
It's the Derrick Rose. He tore his ACL before he could really develop.
Yeah, his career got ended too early. Yeah, he did. He's the Len Bias of ISIS. He and the other suspect are believed to have become radicalized online. You can sign up online.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, they should find that right away. This second, like, I'm signing up for ISIS. Like, give me your credit card. Like, all right, you're in jail. Okay.
I would imagine
security plans have been increased at the concert. Who's the piece of shit in the story? Is it Taylor Swift for seeing so big that she's become bigger? Imagine if your other landmarks in Austria, you're pissed. You're like, really? You can attack us. This guy can choose anything. He's like, I gotta wait till Taylor Swift comes here because everything else here sucks. Like, you know what I mean? It's no one gives a fuck. The only thing the world will care about is if we fuck up Taylor Swift and the Swifties. That's what people will care about. That'll start a war. That'll get people to listen to our message. If we end Taylor Swift, not any government building, not any national banks or parks. Fucking Taylor Swift, which is going to be here Thursday through Saturday. 3 shows. We're going to fuck this up. And which show are they going to fuck up? Are they going to let 2 happen and fuck up Saturday? Or are they going to do Thursday and not only kill a ton of people, but also ruin the moods of people who are going Friday and Saturday, who I guess don't get refunds when people die? I don't think that happens. Is it the 19-year-old boy for signing up in July and taking on such a big project right away? Like, that's crazy. Start small, my friend. Because even if you pulled this off, you can't do anything else. Yes, you'd be in charge of the Austrian section of that franchise of ISIS. But, like, how powerful is that? Like, they're not really strong over there. It's you and that guy. Isn't that guy? That guy's not even like the black guy. He just probably drives him around or at least hangs out with him and maybe he knows where to get bombs. I don't know. Maybe he works at the fucking stadium. Dude. I don't know why the guy's in it. The guy's not really mentioned. The 19-year-old boy, he's the ringmaster. He's the leader. He's the brains. And there's a guy who's a piece of shit.
So I like to think in Austria, it's kind of like the U.S. and this 19-year-old who still lives at home with his parents has just an adult helper. Like his parents go work a job and they hire a nurse to just hang out with this clearly disabled mentally dude. And that's the guy who's getting arrested in the terror plot. Meanwhile, this dude's joining ISIS and trying to blow up the Taylor Swift concert. So for
the adult, maybe the adult, I mean, I like what you're saying. Maybe the adult is taking care of the guy and he signed the kid up with his info and it's really him doing everything. And the kid's like, what the fuck? You used my info to kill ISIS, to be in ISIS?
They're not going to search your wheelchair. They're just going to let you up front at the They might even bring you backstage.
Yeah. Dude, leave the detonator under your helmet.
Yeah. This is the worst thing that it's ever happened in Austria.
Like no terrorists ever get good parking. This is the first time.
Also, if you're going to spark off a chain of events that's going to lead to world ramifications, Austria's already had their one and done. That dude got assassinated, right?
Yeah.
And then it led to that guy who built some muffins.
You know that shit.
Yeah, we're not gonna get all that.
It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah, so you've done your one. Go move to another country.
What are you trying to be, Hitler too? You can't be. There's no sequel to Hitler.
Oh man, we're gonna talk about what you want to know. What's crazy, Pat? In our polished turd today, we're not gonna
Well,
talk.
we haven't done any pieces of shit for this story.
Oh no! But I was just gonna tell you, we're gonna talk about.
Oh, okay. I was like,
We're gonna talk about ISIS. Is who I used that Archer cartoon as like the inspiration for all the pictures. We're talking about an Austrian at the center of the plot. it's it's 100% matching up here. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. My piece of shit is the kid. Your 19-year-old incel, go find a girl to fuck at the Taylor Swift concert. This is the best thing that's ever happened to your country. Go dick out a pussy. That's what you do at Taylor Swift concerts.
I don't think so.
If you're an adult and they're an adult and they're consenting.
I don't think. No, I think it's a lot of women just being girl power and then not letting dicks get in them.
Well, I would imagine if this dude's a 19-year-old virgin who's ready to join ISIS, he probably looks more like Justin Bieber than you or I.
He's also Austrian, but like can be in ISIS, so he probably doesn't look that great. They have ugly people too.
No, one of my favorite new stats has come out recently, which is that like 50% of all Middle Eastern people are inbred.
Who signed up in that census?
It's like the best is so the stats coming out because Gavin McGinnis said it on Rogan, and Rogan challenges him and goes, "This is your opinion." He goes, "No, this is a stat. Look it up, Jamie." And then Jamie looks it up, and the numbers are worse than Gavin said. Like he threw out one projection, and they're more inbred. There are more deaths per capita. Like
I think
bad.
it's crazy that Gavin McGinnis was on Joe Rogan. Jesus Christ!
This was like decade
ago,
maybe.
I was gonna say, yeah, not now.
It's even worse now. It's a genetic island. Anyway, so for me, he's the piece of shit.
Gavin, not the not the stat. He's worse now. Who's piece of shit?
The kid.
Right.
You weren't even good at what you did.
Right, but 19 years old, initiative, will want to be part of something, taking on bigger things than he should. I can't blame the kid.
You can't. If only there was a place for people like that was waiting for them. Vienna. It's like the Billy Joel song.
Yes. I think the piece of shit is the man. Who the fuck is this man? Yeah. And you get no credit. You go down in history like you had this plot. There's gonna be a movie made about this. You'll definitely do it. You could probably get Taylor Swift to be in it, but even if you didn't, you'll take a famous star, put it in, write the whole thing. Whoever thwarted it and stopped it, it'll be like Bodyguard 2. Someone's guarding Taylor Swift, like Kevin Costner type. They fucking foil it, and they figure all this shit out. And there's gonna be this 19-year-old boy, and then there's just gonna be this fucking guy. We don't have a name for him. Fuck, we don't know his age. Some fucking guy. Like, if you're gonna be involved in one of the biggest terror attacks possibly in a long, long fucking time, and this sounds like it would have been huge. I mean, it really would have been huge. So many fucking people.
The best
huge terror attack, giant. Would have been crazy. And if you're gonna be involved, like you were saying before about being the silent G in lasagna, you should be loud. You should be a fucking loud as fuck. And when it comes to this, if you're gonna do it, you should be like, yeah, me, Joe Schmo. I'm also the mastermind of this, because that's how you get pussy. Because if you now go to jail, women are gonna be like, I want to fuck the guy that almost did the terrorist attack. They don't want to fuck the guy who knows the guy. You gotta get your name out there.
Yeah, you're the Cameron of this terrorist plot in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Also, like, how bad do you have to molest somebody that they want to join ISIS?
I don't think that bad. I think before we talked about men and women and the sex, I think it's the quantity, not the quality.
Oh, so a lot. Gotcha.
You could do it a lot, but it doesn't have to be like bad or good. It's just the fact that you're being molested. Yes.
I get you. I don't like you, but I get you.
All right, are we ready for our polished turd of the week?
We are ready for our polished turd of the week. Let me pull it
or the
up
day,
here.
whatever the fuck it is.
Operation Entering. So this was just recently declassified. That's why it is our polished turd story of the day. It should be there for you whenever you're ready.
It is. I thought you were doing a little talk thing first.
No, I did the talk thing again. I apologize. Some things came up.
You're allowed to speak. I just didn't know what's happening. Here we go.
The Cold War, Silicon Valley wasn't just a hub of technological innovation. It was also a battleground for espionage. Welcome to today's polished turd. We have a story of intrigue and deception, where high-tech gadgets meets international spies. Unfortunately, if you think this is where Putin has to finally admit he's gay, be prepared to be as disappointed as a Muslim in China.
In the land of silicon, where chips were king, the Soviets came to steal everything. But little did they know, they were buying junk. The FBI had rigged it and the Soviets got punked. Oh, the spy who sold me junk, he had a plan that stunk. Microchips and wires, all set to backfire. The Soviets thought they won, but their tech was overrun. The Austrian middleman played his part. With gadgets and gizmos, he won Soviet hearts. But every deal they made was just a clever ruse. The Soviets were clueless, they had nothing to use. Oh, the spy who sold me junk, he had a plan that stunk. Microchips and wires, all set to backfire. The Soviets thought they'd won, but their tech was overrun. With each faulty gadget the Soviets paid, unknowingly funding a grand charade. Their secrets exposed, their wallets drained, all thanks to a plan that was perfectly feigned. Oh, the spy who sold me junk, he had a plan that stunk. Microchips and wires, all brought to backfire. The Soviets thought they'd won, but the tech was overrun. So remember the tale of the tech that failed. The Soviet dreams forever derailed. In the world of espionage, truth's often strange, and sometimes the heroes are those who arrange.
In the 1980s, the Soviet Union was desperate to get its hands on cutting-edge American technology. Enter the FBI's Operation Interring, a bold and secretive initiative designed to help turn the tables on Soviet intelligence. Now, this isn't to be confused with the other FBI operation, FBI Operation Entering, which happened in Ruby Ridge, or its more famous sequel, Operation Entering 2, Too Fast, Too Murderous, Waco style. Operation Entering was orchestrated by an Austrian entrepreneur who posed as a broker for the Soviets. But he wasn't just any businessman. He was working for the FBI, feeding the Eastern Bloc a steady stream of sabotage technology, which just echoes my grandfather's warning to never trust an Austrian. From faulty microchips to rigged hard drives, these cleverly tampered goods were designed to derail Soviet tech advancements. The Soviets thought they were outsmarting the West, but in reality, they were paying top dollar for defective products. The operation was a massive undertaking, spanning continents and involving complex coordination, but it was all done in secrecy, with only a handful of people knowing the full extent of the plan. By the time the Soviets realized they had been duped, it was far too late. Operation Entering had drained their resources and exposed their vulnerabilities. It was truly a triumph for the FBI, and a testament to the power of strategic deception. So just to summarize, Operation Entering was a massive success, but no one really knew about it. Operation Entering 1 and 2, everyone knows about, and is a massive black eye. Not to be confused with the massively famous black guy that they spied on and were ultimately found guilty of murdering. Rest in peace, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So who's the piece of shit?
So before I even give you my piece of shit choices, let me say this, ZZ, that is actually solid feedback. I appreciate that. And we have asked for it in the past. So despite it being what I did, I do appreciate you just saying, if you like it, great. If you don't, great. Either way, let us know. That way we can adapt to find things everybody likes. On that note, Pat, who's your piece of shit in this story? I'll give you a quick summary.
Z, because I can't talk? Fuck you.
No.
He just likes the show. Fuck you, Z. Now it's just supposed to be with Bobby Talk. Fine. It can be the POS show without Pat Oates. Fuck off.
No, he hates the AI. He wants me to present the story, not over
He
Photoshop.
didn't say that. He just said, I think it's better with just Bobby talking. What am I, eye candy? I can't do that.
It is a little Schoolhouse Rocky, Terry. But just to summarize the story quick, basically it got declassified that in the
Dude,
80s.
I was thinking that they're not most of them. That one. I thought that too. I was like, it's like kind of Schoolhouse Rock. I'm like, that's too old of a reference. Like, thank God Terry's here. So him and I can both share a reference. Because everyone else, you young fucks, don't get it. But yeah, Terry. It's not an insult. It's just something that was big in you, but it's exactly what we would have done. But not that material.
Yeah, no, everything great's been done, they always say. So to summarize the story, in the 80s, it got declassified. The Soviets were trying to steal from us in Silicon Valley, so we set up a fake middleman who was an Austrian dude who sold the CIA a bunch of bunk, or the USSR a bunch of bunk equipment under the guise that you were stealing intelligence, and it would either catch fire or have like recording devices built in. So Soviets wasted a ton of money, got a bunch of bunk equipment. Is the piece of shit the Soviets? Like, come on, man. You're the second great power. You don't have, like, you should have believed in yourself. That's what the United States did. We believed in ourselves so much we got the most of the Nazis during Operation Paperclip. Like, you guys should have tried a little harder. So is it the Russians? You got bunked. You're the punk in this situation. Is it the FBI? As you saw in the video, lots of mistakes made by the FBI. Maybe not this particular instance. This is their one win, and they kept it classified for 40 years. The stories that are out there, like, you know, Ruby Ridge, Waco, the fact that they assassinated an MLK and that was proven in civil court. Those stories are out there. Is it the FBI for that? Is it me? Because halfway through making this video, I realized they didn't have a bad guy other than the Russians. So I had to really lean into the FBI and other things they'd done, not so pertinent to this story. Is it me for over editing this when we could have had this fun live instead of waiting 5 minutes through a video? Pat, you tell me. Is it
Well,
Obama?
first of all, it's not you. It's not Obama. It's not you, because one person had an opinion. That's all it was. You're trying different things. You're doing something different. It doesn't matter. Not everyone's going to like everything. Like, I don't like Kevin right now because Kevin doesn't understand that I have a sense of humor. And I thought it'd be funny to react in that way. And we all laughed. Do I really think Z was talking about me? Absolutely not. It was funny. He wrote that the way he worded it. So I made a joke. And Kevin will now go, I was making a joke too. Really? Anyway, it's fine. It's not Kevin. It's not Z. It's not any of them. It's not, there aren't really bad guys. Even though you try to make one up, there really aren't bad guys. It's weird, but it's not Russians. I know you want it to be the FBI every time. It's not the FBI. It's your grandfather. It's your grandfather for giving you this saying that now I've realized is why we've done more Austrian stories than I need to have in life. I did one today. You got it. You're like, whoa, you're doing one too. In the past, we've done. I've never known why you've had this thing about Austria, and it's the weirdest thing to say to your grandchild. Never trust an Austrian. Out of all the things not to trust, it's like almost too open-minded, but also closed-minded. Because usually it's like the blacks, and he's like, no, they're fine. Austria. Get the fuck, dude! Like little hot dogs. Get the fuck out of here! That sound of music. Yeah, that's what it is. Music is sound. That's fucking
dummies.
dumb.
You made a whole fucking movie.
It's your fucking grandfather. And Kevin, I think you're great. So
what's crazy is you think that it was like a personal sit-down talk where he was like, and you trust everybody, judge them by the content of the character, not the color of their skin, except for the Austrians. No, it'd be like
except for the Austrians.
Never trust an Austrian.
To me, the only bad guy I can find in that story is your grandpa.
But no, it was like,
but you slid that in so good. So I know that they want the video. That wouldn't have been funny and stayed with me if you didn't say it, then play a song. Because it would just been there. So it was that part. The timing was very good. So I did enjoy that.
Well, thank you. The worst part, though, is he didn't do that. It was Christmas Eve. Like, we'd say grace, and they'd have everybody say what they were thankful for, and we'd get to the end of my grandpa be like, and now everybody remember, don't trust the Austrians.
It's his 9/11.
Yeah.
Never forget.
And my man fought in fucking Korea, and that was his 9/11. But
we all have our own 9/11 if we need one.
For me,
who's your piece of shit, Bobby?
The piece of shit in this story is J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh God.
And here's why. No. This is good. Like, everybody hears all these bad stories in the moment because the bad stories are what people feel the need to leak out, right? Let's say you work for the FBI and you have a moral compass, Pat, and there are two choices in front of you. One's this classified story. It's been done where we duped the Russians who were already trying to spy on us. Like, we hit them with the ultimate counter. And the other option is, well, we shot first at Ruby Ridge. You're going to leak the bad story. So if you're the FBI, you have a responsibility. And this doesn't just go for the FBI in general. If you put all the stories public, the good gets mixed in with the bad, and the bad doesn't sting so bad. The more and more that gets declassified as we get these, not Obama, but like Trump declassified a ton. Biden, whoever's actually running the White House, has declassified a decent amount. So like the more we learn about them, not everything's terrible. It's like the good stuff they kept secret. So for me, get a better PR team, man.
Z thinks it's the Russians, but not for what you think. They have a scientist that came up with the idea for the technology before anyone else, decades before this, but everyone thought it couldn't work.
I mean, if they did, that seems like a very short-sightedness by them. We had Kennedy, as much as you want to make fun of him. It was like, we're going to go to the moon, and whether we went to the moon or not, we put a lot of money out there. I heard a great joke about the moon from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Did you hear it lately? It's been making the rounds.
No, I've not heard it.
So they realize they're not going to make it to the moon, and they approach Neil Armstrong, and they go, hey, man, we want to make the moon landing in Hollywood. And he goes, all right, whatever for America. And they say Buzz Aldrin, they get all three on board. They're all on board. And they contact Hollywood, and Hollywood's on board, and they just can't replicate the moon right. So Hollywood goes, fuck it, we'll just shoot it on site.
I like that. It's a bit.
It's a great joke. Neil deGrasse Tyson told it. I thought it was very funny.
Was his timing good?
Better than mine.
No, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just wondering how he told the joke.
Much better than me.
I'm going to ask everyone in the chat, there's not many of you, to help Kevin out here. Bobby, I'll ask you first. You guys all put your vote in. Does anyone believe Kevin that Obama? I don't like people not being believed in. So I will believe that Obama is an alien because he did talk kind of like he wasn't real. It does have that kind of feel. He's dating a person that we think he might be trans, but they might be an alien too. And their parts, their technicals or whatever are falling out. It seems like he came kind of out of nowhere, was like watching people, learning how to be people, but also blowing them up with drones. Aliens love drones. So I will be first to say I believe Kevin. So no one not believes him. So who else believes Kevin? Why are you saying ouch? I'm helping. I believe. So illegal alien. There you go. That's some kind. So there you go. Z's kind of on board. Obama's running the White House. Yes, but is he an alien, Terry? You always blame him. Bobby, how do you feel?
I'm not piss a bunch of people off, but I don't think Obama's an alien. I think an alien that was put in charge of people would be more beloved. Like, Terry hates Obama with everything inside.
Yeah, but he was beloved for a while. And beloved by the people that weren't giving the attention.
True.
So an alien would go to the minority masses.
You know what? That is a good point. You've swayed me yet again, Patsy. I'm going full. Obama is an alien. Do we think he's like tall and gray, or what type do we think he is?
No, I think he just looks like that. I think they all look like Obama. I think there's a whole
that'd
planet
be
of people that look like Obama. They're like,
They'll say they love
like that.
basketball, but you watch them play and you're like, that doesn't look very coordinated.
Shit, yep, Z, you're right. Shit would be better if aliens were running things. Maybe.
That's what I
might
was
eat us,
saying.
too.
Come on,
Yeah.
Z.
You
My
and Z
man.
are very together with your thoughts.
I feel like, yeah, Z's going to be my right-hand man when I start a cult. So
I hate to say this, Bobby. I think you're going to be Z's right hand man when the cult starts.
that, you know what? And happily.
Yeah.
He should be behind the scenes. He could be the Karl Rove to my George H.W. Bush. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you can't be fooled. Fooled again.
Just rapping. Oh.
Fool me one time, shame on me.
One of Connecticut's safest towns has its first murder in 21. Nope, has one of its first murder in 21 years, and it's straight out of a horror movie. I don't know if you heard about this. This is wild. This is like crazy. A man allegedly killed his father and left his organs outside his body in what his defense attorney called a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions, which was also a sleepy Connecticut town's first murder in more than 20 years.
How fucked are you when your attorney goes to court and calls your situation a Shakespearean tragedy? It's
It's fucking
over.
nuts.
You just
Yeah,
go, oh,
it's
boy.
fucking done.
Get me the chair.
Authorities responded to a caller who claimed to have hurt his father in a residence in Ridgefield. Ridgefield's not too far away from me. They got a great playhouse. It's a good little theater. Around 1 a.m. Saturday, police said. The responding officers were greeted by Stephen James Oricho, 31, who was outside the house with his hands in the air and wearing a dark blue shirt with boxer shorts, according to the police report. The police instructed Yuriko, who was sweating profusely and appeared to have blood on his hands, to walk forward with his arms extended. After authorities inspected the man for weapons, they asked him about his father, Mark Yuriko. I murdered him, Yuriko allegedly replied, adding that he had killed the older man really, really badly. I like how there's like a difference. Goodly or badly, you killed the guy. The investigators then entered the house, where they supposedly found drops of blood on the stairs and on both sides of the walls. There was also a bloodied fillet knife at the top of the stairs. Mark Yuriko, 83, was discovered lying. Wow, he's like 50-something years older than his son. He's 52 years older than his son. That's old.
That's what they say about that old sperm.
It was discovered lying on the floor in his bedroom. He's probably waiting for him to die and he wasn't getting the money. He's like, fuck this. He goes, yeah, I'll give you the money if you donate your organs. He goes, I'll donate your organs.
I'll donate organs right now.
There you go. Was discovered lying on the floor in his bedroom. The victim's groin and abdomen were both mutilated, with some of his internal organs found outside his body. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The guy looks like if you were going to cast a guy who killed his dad, he looks exactly like that.
Oh, no.
Stephen James Yuriko was taken into custody on murder charges. The grisly crime was Richfield's first murder since 2003. The killing shakes the town up. This is a very safe community, he lamented. A few hours after his arrest, Yuriko told officers he had stomach problems because he had taken a quarter of a bottle of Advil earlier. I mean, your stomach hurt a little, but a quarter of a bottle, I mean, it's not going to fuck you up really, but I guess so. Yuriko was transferred to Danbury Hospital, where he was evaluated by staff while handcuffed to a medical bed. My fucking phone went nuts. Hold on. He was discharged from the hospital and taken back to Ridgefield Police Headquarters on suicide watch. At the hospital, Yuriko told the doctors that he had prescribed the medication that he had not taken in a month or two, and that he had regularly used weed. Now, you don't see. I don't like that. You blame weed. Weed don't make you cut up your dad, take out his organ. I don't like when they add that part. Yuriko was arraigned on Monday in Danbury Superior Court, where he appeared nearly catatonic and had to be carried into the courtroom. He slumped it with his head on the defense table until the judge ordered him to stand, at which point he was nearly pulled to his feet by a nearby officer. Yuriko's defense lawyer, Willie Dow. Dude, if you're a lawyer, be William. Don't be William. If you don't have enough money for a William, don't get a Willie, do it yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, what's your fucking middle name?
Yeah. Willie N. Dow.
Oh, God. His last name is basically In Doubt.
N-word. Told the court that his client had significant mental health history. Oh, you think? Dow agreed with the prosecution's request for a competency evaluation, mental health treatment, and continued suicide watch, all of which were approved by the judge. This is a tragedy of Shakespearean dimensions. It has devastated the family as well as my client, Dow told News 12 Connecticut. The attorney did not immediately return the Post's request for the comment Wednesday. Yuriko will be back in court September 4th. He is being held at $1.5 million bail. Who is the piece of shit? The story is at the Sun for murdering and disemboweling his father, blaming drugs and sadness and acting all catatonic. You obviously had full of pep in your step when you disemboweled your fucking dad and mutilated his groin. Now you can't stand up in court. You're garbage. Is it the 83-year-old dad? What did you say? Because you were hanging out. There was something you said at the point where this guy just went, not anymore. Like, you don't just embow a man. I know it's probably a lot of years of abuse, whatever, and it being mean. Being that much older, 83, probably treated his 31-year-old son with mental problems like a piece of shit his whole life. And it's probably a big reason to it. But what did you do throughout your life where your life ended in the worst way possible? Is it Shakespeare for having these fucking tragedies in proportions? Why we always have to say if other people have tragedies, we never bring them up, but whenever there's a big tragedy, it's got to be Shakespearean. isn't the lawyer for saying it was Shakespearean proportions, because like you don't have to say anything. This is already gruesome. It didn't need more cool shit. I wouldn't have been like, oh, disemboweled man got by his father, gutted out, all crazy all over the place. That's insane. I wish there was a cool title for it, and there's not. All right, then I'm not going to pay attention. Is it Ridgefield for knowing that 20 years ago was their last one and be like, oh man, we had time off from murder. Well, fuck you, you lily white shitheads. Right around you. Bridgeport's 15 minutes away. There's a lot of murder. I know you're not there. We're so safe. You're really not. And I hope the people in Bridgeport hear this and go, we'll keep that stat up for you. Now we're going to do it every 2 weeks. Who's the piece of shit in the story?
So, Shakespeare's not a piece of shit. He wrote, I mean, he plagiarized everything, but
yeah, I don't
wrote,
piece of shit. It was just fun to say.
It did remind me of Hobo Johnson's lyrics of Shakespeare. Can you write a happy ending for me, please? Can you write a happy? But that's very sad. And then it also reminded me of Nas because they say life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we get high because you never know when you're Mark Yuriko.
I hope it's pronounced Yuriko, then that works. But if I might be saying it wrong. It might be Yuriko.
Hopefully it was Yuriko. But for me, the piece of shit would be the attorney. I don't think this dude murdered his dad. Was there an autopsy ordered?
Well, they don't really need one. Everything was outside.
Right, but also this is Connecticut where hunting's legal. If this mentally retarded person's been taught
in hunting areas.
But if so, let's say he lives there. I don't know if it is or not, but let's just go down the hypothetical train for me. Let's say he does, right? His whole life he's been taught anything we kill, the first thing we do is disembowel so it doesn't infect the rest of the meat. The guy has a heart attack. He comes home, his dad's dead, and he just does what he's taught his whole life to a carcass. Then he goes for a jog, and they're like, is your dad dead? And he goes, yeah, bad. And it's like, oh, I did a bad job.
He said I killed him badly. He said, I killed my dad. I killed him very badly.
Yeah, because the police have never coerced the confession out of a mentally retarded person before. I'm just saying.
He doesn't look mentally retarded. He just looks white trash.
If I was white trash, same with that Brendan Dawson kid or whatever his name was.
If you were white trash.
Whatever that dude's name in Murder for America or whatever, where they said he was innocent, then he wasn't, and then he was, and then he was. Like,
making a murderer? I never saw
making a murderer. Yeah. But whatever it was, if I was his defense attorney, I'm not going, this is a Shakespearean tragedy. I'm going, they fucked up. They coerced you don't admit it's over till it's over. Is the fat lady singing? No, because the one who used to molest you dressed as a fat woman, you cut all the organs outside of. He's not singing ever again. Pat, who's your piece of shit?
I sent you a picture of the guy so you can look at him, and it's not retarded, just looks like a dope. You don't have to put it up, okay. You can just look at it. My piece of shit in the story is not the son. I don't know what the father said to him to make him fucking sad. It's not the father for getting murdered. He's 83. That's worse. It sucks that he had to get killed that way, but he was gonna die soon anyway. Yeah, he shouldn't have said I killed him. That's where he's the dummy. But it's not the cops. It's not any of those people. It's the police officer in the court that picked him up when he wouldn't stand up. Fuck that. Why are you picking him up? Let him try to get up. The guy can do it. That's where you find out if he can get up on his own. If he doesn't get up on his own, he's refusing. Then you find out if he's mentally unstable or not. But when you pick him up, he's going to play into that. I know too many people that when they're in trouble, they see cops, people are like, oh, I'm going to pretend I'm crazy. You're nuts. And then the cops play into the thing too. Don't help that motherfucker up. Let that motherfucker get up on his own. Don't pick him up. Now you as an officer might get in trouble. What if you bruise his arm? What if you set him off? What did you do? Now you can cause all these other problems. What if this becomes like a mistrial because you fucking picked him up and you did some shit? Keep your hands to yourself. Let murderers get up on their own. He's a big boy. If he can disembowel his dad, he can stand up.
She said, don't give me no lines and keep your hands to yourself. No, I agree 100%. Let this guy make it either genuine or acting, one way or another. We're about to find out, and make him do it on his own. If you help him, it leads into the acting. It gives him an opportunity to file for a mistrial. Let him be a piece of shit. He killed his dad. He can handle court on his own.
I agree. Do you but real quick, if everybody can like and subscribe, that would be dope. I appreciate you. If you can go over to the Patreon and you can fucking join that'd be dope. And most importantly, if you have not yet and you're in the New England area, if you could buy tickets to come see us before our last story, come see me and Bobby starting tomorrow. 8 p.m. Thursday, 8 p.m. Friday, 6 and 8 on Saturday. 4 shows, 4 chances to see me and Bobby performing and be part of my special recording. But even if you're just coming for a comedy show, whatever. And if you're there during the day, there's a lot of chances that either me or Bobby are available to hang out with you. I mean, I'm going to be visiting some friends and family. We're doing different things. But for the most part, especially right after the shows, we should have plenty of time to chill and hang. So come on out, say hi, hang with us. We'd love to see you. Bobby, what is your last story?
Pat, if I told you to guess what this picture represents, what would you say?
Kanye giving himself the greatest birthday party of all times because he loves bears more than people.
You know what? I can't say you're wrong. So I'm just gonna read the story. In a startling revelation, Milo Yiannopoulos, Kanye West's former chief of staff, has accused the rapper of having a serious dependency on nitrous gas, also known as laughing gas, also known as whippets, also known as the reason one of us stays alive. These allegations were made in an affidavit filed with a complaint against Thomas P. Connolly, a celebrity dentist who allegedly provided Kanye with large amounts of gas for recreational use. Pat, can you write that name down for a friend?
Sure. I'm jotting it down right now.
Dentist Thomas P. Connolly. Yiannopoulos, who worked for Kanye from 2022 to May 2024, claims he was driven by concerns for Kanye's health and safety when he brought these issues to light. He described a scenario where Kanye was reportedly spending up to $50,000 a month on nitrous oxide supplied by Connolly, who also installed Kanye's permanent titanium grill. That's the thing in his mouth, not something in his house that would need gas. I had to look that up. The affidavit details that Connolly allegedly moved into Kanye's apartment building to monitor him closely while providing advisors who demanded high fees and suggested disruptive business changes. Yiannopoulos further alleged that Connolly exploited Kanye's psychological vulnerabilities for financial gain, and that Yeezy employees were openly worried about Kanye's nitrous gas dependency, often witnessing him in meetings with an inhaler mask. Pat, who is the piece of shit in this story? Is it Kanye? Come on, man. Everybody knows nitrous is a one day a year thing. You don't do it every single day. It'll ruin your brain. Like, it'll make you dumb. Literally, have you done whippets before, Pat?
In college, only like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, and it lasts for like 2 seconds. And I wasn't a fan, but I know people that liked it.
If you had to describe the noise, what would it be?
Oh, it's like a wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah. That's the sound of your brain cells dying. That's what that noise is. You don't do it often. Like, it's not good for you. Is it the dentist for supplying Kanye? Like, yes, you're committing a crime, but $50,000 a month is a hell of a deal, right? Like, this guy is rich and famous. If you don't do it, somebody probably will, right? He's rich enough where he can figure it out. I mean, the Kardashians are rich enough; they know how to change sexes. Like, he'll figure out a way to get his nitrous. So is it Thomas P. Connolly, who we're definitely not going to invite as a guest on this show and hit up for financial reasons? Is it Milo Yiannopoulos, one of the biggest narcissists I've ever heard about, who felt now was the time to go public when, oh, what? He no longer works for Kanye's organization. It wasn't a big problem until you got fired. Who's your piece of shit in this story, Pat?
Milo. 100% Milo. Because want to know why? Kanye didn't say one thing in this. Kanye didn't quote. Kanye has said some of the wildest shit in the world about every accusation, real, true, whatever. And he's always been like, yeah, I did that shit, or I didn't do that shit. The fact that Kanye hasn't said shit, this is lies. Milo has not been in the news in a long time. Like you said, he's a narcissist. He's trying to find a way back in after all the other bullshit he did for a while and was pulled out. He was big, and he got he got basically canceled by everyone. And this is finally his way of trying to find it back in. I bet you this is like 99% bullshit. I bet you Kanye did helium balloons with one time with him or something like that. Doesn't do them every day. Milo is a fucking liar and wants to get back in the world, because if this was real, Kanye would not only be talking about it, he'd be defending it, and he'd be talking about how great it is and how the Jews never did it.
Do you want to know how I know this story's false, Pat?
Because you made it up.
No, it's 100% a real story.
Oh.
I know that Milo's alleging things that may have happened, like you said, at most once. and it's that we have not had a Kanye West album that sounds like George Clinton in the Parliamentary Funk yet. If we had one that sounded like George Clinton in the Parliamentary Funkadelic, then I'd go, there might be some truth to this story.
We've had some ones that you're like, what's he doing here? So, I mean, you can, you know what I mean? Not like that far, but like we've had some ones like, what the fuck is this? And then he's been fine. But like, yeah, I just think it's even more about the bragging. He's all about owning his shit. He's always owned his shit.
He tells the people what he's going to do, and then he does it since day one.
And if someone accuses him, he says flat out, yeah, I did that shit, or I didn't do that shit. He's always jumping on it, then he makes it worse.
But there's a specific sound of that Whippets that people like when they're on Nitris, and none of his albums hit that tone. So I'm going, my piece of shit is the publication that put this out. Milo's been blackballed. I don't know if you know this, by the media.
That's why I said it. I think,
Yeah. This was more for everybody else. Like his last real claim to fame before Kanye was he worked at Compound, but not on the network. Like he just recorded there, and Steve went through hell to make his show what it was, and then he left and did politics for a bit, and then joined Kanye. Like this is the story you choose to come back with. Like you decide to let him in. He
worked for Kanye. I was shocked by that. I didn't know that.
He was his campaign advisor when Kanye was going through everything. That's when Kanye did cure him of his gayness.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, so like there is some power to Jesus there. So for me, my piece of shit's the newspaper who was like, you know what? Yeah, we'll take this story, Milo. Come talk to us.
Yeah, I think if anyone else told this story, I would be on board. I just don't think Milo and I shared an enema once.
And we did talk about Charlotte passing.
We did. Terry broke it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Nitris, Garrett and Steve want to have Bobby on to do Whippets. Have you watched any of their shows?
I haven't gotten the chance to yet. I'm supporting them. I'm a fan. I hope the best for those two guys. They're both great dudes. I don't know if that's their real Instagram. That's why I haven't followed it yet. If it's another person running it, I don't give a shit. But if it's those two, yeah, I would support it. But
I mean, they followed me on both things, and it's just clips of their show, so I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be them doing it, but it's them, somebody supporting their show.
So right, like, but I'll follow their personal ones. I don't need to follow that, but I'll watch the show when I get some time over the next couple.
Well, I will because I like people to follow our Instagram, so it helps to support. They went, I followed theirs, they followed our POS one, so like it does help to go back and forth with that kind of shit.
Well, we'll figure it out after, but I support them. Mike Bichetti reached out and was like, hey, they want me on. Am I cool? And I was like, of course. Like, I want nothing but the best for those guys. The other show I was going to say is check out Pat Dixon's doing an Enjoy show. And I believe it's Taz, the resident artist, with him. It's late at night where he plays the piano and just kind of talks in between.
Is it 8 hours fucking long?
No, it's like usually about 2 hours, but it's truly just like good background noise if I'm doing editing or something, because he plays some music. Occasionally he'll sing the real words. Occasionally he'll make up words. He'll have ideas. It feels very much like an old school radio show if you miss that kind of thing. And I'm not talking like Opie and Anthony. I'm talking like 1950s radio where it's just like music and talking and music, but it's a lot of fun. If you smoke weed like I do, I think you'd enjoy it.
I like Pat Dixon as a person. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I've known Pat for a while, but I like Pat. I don't believe a lot of the shit was said. I think Pat just gets himself. I think Pat's heart gets himself in a lot of fucking trouble. And his drinking doesn't help out that either. But and not in lack of drinking, whenever it goes back and forth. But that his podcast usually put me to fucking bed. And not like in the way you're saying relaxing. It bores the fuck out of me. And I'm no offense, if you put Taz, the resident drawing lady who looks just like Pat Dixon but not Asian, I can't watch two people with that haircut not be lesbians in a porn.
He makes her have the Hal picture, and it just lights up when she talks. He doesn't let her have her picture on screen for I think that exact reason. I think he also knows. He's like, one of us gets slugged this way.
Yeah, Jesus
but
Christ.
But it's a fun one. That's so yeah. I'd reach out. I that was my piece of shit take, by the way, with the Stingray's easy that they murdered him to cover up the genetic scam. Pat, do you have anything
possibly
else?
Or he just was dying, and maybe that was like I also thought about that, like maybe he was dying and that idiot woman for a minute thought he was pregnant or she was pregnant because like there was some lump in their stomach.
Yep.
And didn't get it checked out right. And then it just died a natural. It also was not kept in a good habitat, and it wasn't kept by someone who was smart. You know what I mean? Like, so it might have just died of natural, but like, neglect.
Very possible as well.
I don't know if it was killed so it wouldn't talk about the situation.
They were worried we were going to get to it.
Yeah. They're gonna quote this motherfucker today. We don't want POS breaking this anymore. Terry Knee's on the scene. We saw him out there getting the scoop.
He said this is a solo vacation away from his wife.
If you want a solo
guys
vacation
all.
away from your wife, come see us at Mohegan Sun Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I never do trust hillbillies. I try, but thank you, CJ. I've never once did. Bobby's grandfather told me that. He said, never trust hillbillies. Now bring Bobby over here. I gotta talk to him about something. All right.
Austrians.
Thank you for all your information today. You've been great, Kevin. Thank you for contributing. Kish was there in the beginning. Jim was in there. Who else did we have that was fun? We had some fun people in today. Was Conface on today?
Kish popped in.
I said Kish. Yeah, there's a lot of people there. Terry Nee, of course, being the best. Thank you everybody that commented, all the people that watched. We appreciate you. No show tomorrow. There will be some shape and form of Thursday Thoughts. I'm not sure what time that's happening because we were going to be going to the casino and getting in the hotels and doing the shows and all that. But at some point during that day or night or whatever, we'll get something out there for you. Friday, we'll do a show from the casino there, and it'll be great. So please, if you're at the area and you want no time, we'll try to shoot for 3:30. And try to do it around then. Well, if you're a watcher of the podcast or on the Patreon and you want to be wherever we're recording it and you're going to be at the casino, hit us up and you can be hanging out, you can be on, whatever you want to do. But if not, more importantly, get tickets. comicsroadhouse.com. We're really excited about it. I'm sure you're excited about us shutting the fuck up about it. So make sure you go join the podcast. But Dan Brown is not understanding I have a podcast right now, and that I've texted him 4 hours ago, and now my phone is going ding, ding, ding. It's like, yeah, dude, just promote the fucking open mic you're covering for me while I have a show. So make sure you go there and go to the podcast Patreon up there and join for that if you haven't joined yet. Bobby, you got anything else you want to push before we say goodbye to
Nope,
folks?
that's everything. I went through the same thing earlier with text. That's why I don't have my phone. I tossed it. On that note, if you can't
but
join
my
them,
headphones take it on because it's attached to the iPad, so I can't or iPod. I can't get away from it. These fuckers.
and if you can't join them, you can't detach your headphones, and make sure you be